this because I know the UVL game's going on. The guys, especially guys, are like, watch. So, a couple of other things just real quickly, and then we'll get started. So, my name is Brittany Montgomery, the utility director here for the town, and we have some people here with us. Greg Miller with Heritage Engineering. What's that?
I said hello.
Okay. Jeremy Baker, again with Heritage. Mike Kopp is our assistant public works. Brad Cumming, our public works director. And then David Ringwater and Stephen Schnell, who work out elections. So you see them out a lot. You're going to see them out even more. A couple things handouts we had at the beginning. We have copies of postcards that should have gotten mailed out to everyone. We have comment card that if you have any comments on both this, which is the sanitary study, or generalized comments for the town, feel free to fill it out. You can leave it here, you can take it home and get it back, drop it with your sewer bill, town hall, really any place. Mail it to us, we can get it. You have copies of the survey that we passed out, that was on the postcard. You can go online and fill out if you want to just do it here. Again, you can do it here, fill it out. We'll take them today, take them home with you, and bring them back to town hall, drop them in the mail. Get a hold of one of us, you can email us. We have copies of our emails. And then just a copy of the overall meeting agenda that we're going to go through, just kind of the highlights of what we're going to do, as well as the associated contact information for the survey. If you want to go online, do that. The town website, our new website should be up here in the next week or so. My contact information, Brad's, and then Jeremy's. So hopefully, again, we shouldn't take too much time.
The survey that's on the 8.5 right now, is that the same as the survey that I wanted to fill out for that?
Yes.
Yes,
should be.
it is the exact same one. We just brought some paper copies. Alright, so our agenda, again, will be pretty quick. We're going to go through our goals. We're going to give the map, the area, the purpose of the study, and the timeline. And then I'm going to turn over to Greg who's going to go through our approach, the private property inspections we're looking at doing, overall team introductions, and then we want to save the majority of the time for a question and answer session and one-on-one looking at various quadrants of the Greenacres neighborhood. Alright, so I know Greenacres is more of a small section of this neighborhood, but just to let you know, we're looking at the actual, when we talk about Greenacres, the area that more or less surrounds the school here. So you have Brown Station Way on the south and the east, with Bell Avenue and the old CSX on the west is the boundary, and then to the north we have Eastern Boulevard. So it's really looking at the main neighborhood here, and this all this area gravity drains into the wastewater treatment plant, and that's why we're looking at this area. Yes. So, all right, look, the who. Got the town, we have hired Heritage Engineering to complete this work. What we're looking at here in this project is strictly the sanitary sewer system. So this is what you flush down your drain, you put in your washing, what comes out of your washing machines, your you take a shower, it's that system. It's not the stormwater system. We currently have 2 of these projects going on. We have one here in Greenacres and then one in Parkwood. Parkwood is looking at the stormwater system also. But here in Greenacres, we don't feel as if we have as many problems. And then our problems here are dealing with the sanitary system. So that's what we're looking at here. Again, our main goal here is to find out where groundwater is entering into the system, to the sanitary system, where there are problems. And then what we'll do at the end of the study is our engineers will come up with a plan that over the next 5 years that we can program funds for and work to fix the problem. We say 5 years, maybe 10, to fix the issues. So our goals here are to be proactive and get ahead of things. Okay. Why Greenacres? Most of the homes were built in the 30s and 40s, 70 years old, and our system, it needs repair and replacement. We know we have problems with Greenacres. Treatment plant is right across Brown Station Way. We know there are problems. I grew up in Greenacres in the 90s and early 2000s, and I can tell you we had problems back then. Like to think we've done better since then. We want to be proactive. Our goal is to find smaller issues or fun issues now before they become major, and we have to spend major funds to go back and repair them. Before we get to an emergency, we tell you you can't flush your toilet for a couple weeks while we do a repair. And they also tend to be more expensive when they're last minute. We can program them, we can get ahead of them, get the funds available, and they're a lot less expensive. We know there are basement backups in Greenacres. We know we don't hear about basement backups in Greenacres. We need to know if you have basement backups on a regular basis. We know people get tired of it and they don't call. We need to know when you have problems with the system, because that's the best way for us to go back and to look at it and determine what's the cause and how we can fix it.
If my backyard floods, my basement floods.
Your backyard floods. So, and that's the other thing is Greenacres has a lot of lines that run in people's backyards. That's one of the unique things about the Greenacres neighborhood is that several of our main lines actually run back behind everyone's homes. And we have manholes that actually sit in people's backyards that can come up and we know can cause additional flooding that way. We have a lot of inflow and infiltration into the system. Greg's going to go into more of what that is and the main reason we want to do this, you guys are the last point before majority of the town comes into the wastewater treatment plant. Everything actually into our wastewater treatment plant flows through the intersection of Carter and McKinley. So everything that comes into our wastewater facility comes to a manhole here at Carter, well, not Carter, McKinley, sorry, Carter and North Clark. And then goes underneath Brown Station Way through a 36-inch pipe into our wastewater treatment plant. Everything except the south end, which was taken off actually late last year. That no goes, it doesn't cross Brown Station Way. It used to cross Brown Station Way, cross again. Now that goes directly into our wastewater facility. And we see that, we know there are issues because during a heavy rain, majority of the time we put 3 million gallons, give or take a little bit, through our treatment facility. During heavy rains, we can put 22 million gallons through, and we do. We put close to 22 million gallons through this past Saturday when the rainfall got real heavy. And we know when we hit that max, we start to see it, and you're like, oh, we start to get concerned about the intersection of Carter and McKinley, because that's where we tend to see if we're gonna have problems first. And so what we're trying to do is take that water off the system, minimize that flow. It costs us money every time that water comes through because we pump things further, and it causes problems for you guys. We know Greenacres, this is the last spot it has to come through. So if there's gonna be a problem, it tends to happen in this neighborhood. All right, I'm gonna turn it over to Greg. Oh wait, sorry, timeline. So right now we're in the data collection portion of this. We started it right after the beginning of the year, and with just some basic project planning. We're going through a lot of data collection now. We have a couple flow meters, which are inside the pipes that are measuring the amount of wastewater through them in our system now. And we're actually going to go to 12 meters of that between Greenacres and Parkway in the next couple of weeks. We have the public meeting today, and then we'll start private property inspections. And again, Greg will talk about that here shortly in the months of April through June. I can't believe I'm saying this, but we need some good rain events for us to be able to really see. I know, not super rain events. We don't need an inch an hour, but a quarter of an inch an hour or so, that will allow our engineers to really see what's going on in the system. They'll analyze that data over late summer and early fall, and then they'll complete the study. We anticipate late fall and early winter with presentation to the council either right at the end of the year or the beginning of the new year. At that point, those results, we'll take that back and develop a 5-year capital improvement program to address the issues and figure out the exact funding, which projects we're going to do, and we'll start to enact that. Just to be realistic, unless it's some minor fixes we can do relatively quickly, construction won't start until the earliest late 2020 because it'll take time for us to get through that process. This is not coming at any rate increases. And people hear concerns that we're spending this money and there will be rate increases. That is not what we anticipate. There are already rate increases for cost of living in the stormwater side, which is 4% this year and the next 2 years, and wastewater was some 3% increases, not this year, but in 20 and 21. but we don't anticipate doing any additional rate increases to fund these projects. Our goal is to be able to pay for them from existing reserves and money we set aside every year. So now I'm gonna turn it over to Greg.
All right, Greg Miller with Heritage. So trying to get back into the inflow and infiltration that Brittany discussed, is that we're looking at, we have two different pipe systems out in the ground. What we're looking at is a sanitary pipe. So just elaborate a little further, is that with the sanitary pipe, that's basically, you have toilets, it's inside your house. Toilets, your laundry facilities, your bathroom, bathtubs, sinks, things of that nature. Anything that's inside your house that you can touch the water and then it drains out the house, that's the sanitary system. That drains to a sanitary sewer pipe. And then there's also another component that we're not dealing with directly, but indirectly we are, and I'll get to that, is the stormwater side. So that's every time it rains, the rain comes down, lands on your roof, goes to your downspouts, and rain runs across your yard, it gets into your ditches, into the catch basins, culverts. All that stormwater is drainage water. That all goes to storm sewer pipes. So drainage pipes and storm sewer pipes. The problem with inflow and infiltration is that when we have a sanitary system, we'll come down the center here, a sanitary sewer pipe, toilets will flush, coming from your house. But there's times that this rainwater mixes in with that sanitary pipe, and then that overwhelms the pipes. So typically, like a pipe, most of these pipes are about 12 inches or less in diameter. So usually that flow is within that pipe. All the flow can be contained and transported in that pipe. But if that rainwater gets inside that sanitary pipe also, then it can really elevate, and that pipe is not only full, completely full, it's elevated high enough that sometimes it backs up into your basements. So we're trying to determine who in the locations where we've got rainwater that's coming into the sanitary system and where the basements are backing up into.
Backs up into mine.
Got it. And then, so with that, the treatment plant gets backed up, and it costs more to treat that, that water. Diving into this a little bit more is that our storm pipe, our drainage pipe, is the blue line. The sanitary pipe is the tan line. So in theory, all the blue connections, your downspout connection, a foundation drain, which it could be your sump pump, your drainage sump pump in the basement, that should be connected to the blue lines. Those are all in theory, and catch basins, those in theory would be connected to the storm line, to the blue line. However, what happens sometimes is that there's cross connections. Sometimes catch basins are, incidentally connected to the tan line, to the sanitary. Sometimes your sump pump is incidentally connected to the tan line, which is the sanitary line leaving your house to get to the main sanitary line in the street. A lot of times there's just, there's your sewer line maybe have a break in that pipe. The main line may have breaks in the pipes. So, we've got tools that we can utilize and through the study to determine where some of these cracks may be. And what happens is that, when all this extra water comes into the sanitary line, all the storm water, the drainage comes into the sanitary line, it becomes overwhelmed. And as some of you have experienced, that water will back up, the wastewater, the sanitary water will back up into someone's basement, and creating a health hazard. So, and a nasty mess to clean up, and expenses, and the whole 9 yards. So it's definitely a concern. So that's what we're after. In cases where maybe you don't have a basement, it's like, well, I don't have a basement, so how am I impacted? Well, your neighbor might have a basement, they may be impacted. And then also, sanitary, the water may come out of the manholes and dump into the stream, or dump into the pavement going across the street, and then to the catch basin that's connected to the storm line. So we're trying to find all these sources where this water's coming from. So before I go over the study methods of what our plan of approach is, these are two manholes that are near the intersection that Brittany discussed. That's down in the south end near the treatment plant. This is the sanitary sewer manhole. The water water, the sanitary sewage is about 12 inches from the rim of this manhole. I don't know the depth of this manhole on a normal basis. Jeremy, 13, 14 feet. So as opposed to that water being all within that pipe, which is where we want it to be at, it's within 12 inches of coming out of the manhole down here. So what that means is if I go back a slide, if it's up here, if this house has a basement, if there's not a backflow preventer on this basement for the gravity service, then that water could very easily be in that person's basement. So that's what we're trying to figure out. So how are we going to do this? So we're looking at, first up is desktop studies. So the town has a lot of mapping. We have, old neighborhood sewer plans. We're taking all that data. We're looking at previous field work. We're here tonight talking with you guys. We've got from when you've experienced concerns in the past, you've called the town. We've got that database that when you call, that goes into a database. We've got those records. We're going, we're going through those records, trying to identify which houses and what are the concerns there. Is it is it a drainage problem out front, or is it a sewage water that's backed up into your basement? So we're going through that data, combing through that data. Field investigation, going out during rainfall events, actually getting our eyes on the sites and actually looking at where these problems are at. Been out there probably 4 or 5 times so far this year. If it rains again pretty heavily in the next couple weeks, couple months, we'll be out there then also.
Most likely tomorrow.
Yeah, it could be tomorrow morning. So Brittany said we've got monitors in the system, so we're putting a monitor and instrumentation that is going to meter the flow in the sanitary sewer pipes that's down in the ground. We're looking at that, the public interaction like we're here tonight. We've got the comment cards, we've got the survey monkey that's out. We can just discuss with you one-on-one on some of the maps with some of your problem areas. And private property inspections. So, well, I'm not going to get into that, that's the next slide. So private property inspections, this is voluntary. It's the fifth thing on the list, but it's voluntary. We would like to meet with you all individually and schedule a meeting. That way we can come out to your home and we can make sure that the downspouts are disconnected. Really what we're after is trying to get information. That way we can we can go through the study and evaluate the improvements that need to be made. We're not planning on going, there's like 900 homes in the Greenacres area. We're not planning on going to every home. We've got, allotted about 100 homes that we would like to get into. We're just trying to get a sample set of what is there. We get a good sample from that 100, and then we can identify, okay, we know how many homes have basements. We can identify that, and we can just use that data when we come for private property inspections, use that as a resource for our planning study. We'll be there with teams of 2, so there'll be 2 people. We'll have safety vests on with company logos. We've Clarksville badges. This is Jeremy's badge. Mine's in the process of getting made. We'll have a letter signed by the town. So we're there to represent our firms and represent the town. And we'll have 2 people. We want to be efficient with the data, but we want to be safe and make sure that we're well documented when we come to your house. You can call, you can schedule an appointment with Jeremy tonight. He'll be doing most of the inspections. We'd like to come visit your house to evaluate the basements and the connections. So what to expect when we're out there? We'll introduce ourselves. We'll wear shoe coverings, that way we don't track dirt throughout the house. Just kind of, if you've got any information, hey, basement, let's go down there. There's some pumps in this left-hand corner. Hey, I know this is my drainage line. I've got 2 sump pumps. I've got a sanitary sump pump, and I've got a drainage sump pump. Every time it rains, the sanitary pump doesn't run, but the drainage pump runs. Just any information you've got that could help us out. And we'll ask questions along the way too, but we're there to get information. More access to the yard. We may want to come out if you've got some other concerns, you know, like, hey, this is what's going on. I'm talking in circles a little bit, but if there's other things that are going on, if you can provide us some information for it, we can pass off to the stormwater department. We can do that as well. We'll have an inspection form. We'll fill that out, and we're going to try to, like I said, we're going to try to do 100 homes. So we're going to try to be efficient with what we're working with. So you know, it's probably, we're assuming it'll take about an hour per home is what the anticipation is. It could be 15 minutes. But we're going to budget for an hour is what we're doing. So we don't want to take a lot of your time, but we do want to kind of get in and evaluate the system.
So is this only for homes that have something else?
No, we want to take a look at all homes. We want to get a sample of the area. So with introductions, you know, sometimes we do this at first, but we're doing this at the end just because of kind of how we're going through things. You know, I'm Greg Miller with Heritage, and I'll be doing some of the inspections. Jeremy Egger with Heritage, he'll be doing the majority of the inspections. And then we've got Joseph Russo. He's working more on the Parkwood section, but he's available for the Greenacres project also. Chase Clark and Tyler Pelton, these guys will be available. And we may have another person or two, but for the most part, it should be one of us 5 from Heritage that will be, you know, here to do the proper property inspections. And so, as we've said before, we want to hear from you. You're here tonight. We can take your comments. You can fill out the Survey Monkey, comment cards, you know, but we need information from you guys in order to make this a successful project. If you got any questions, you know, along the way, you can call or email. Jeremy's a little easier to get a hold of than I am sometimes. His contact information, I think, is on the agenda that's been passed out, or that was when he walked in. And then at this point, I think it's going to open up the general questions, and we can kind of answer those questions, and then, you know, we can break out into like individual, like get on the maps and take some detailed information. Yes, sir.
I don't know what the percentage of people is that have just plain old drains in the basement versus those who have sump pumps. But I have a drain that has been a geyser during the storm. And my son had house 333 North 10, the last one on the street, and it had a geyser.
Now on the drainage.
When it rains.
On the floor drain?
Yeah, floor drain. Coming up about that high, and the drain out in the back, which is a storm sewer drain, had a geyser. The two in the back had
Okay.
between our house and high school parking lot. Now they came out and worked on that and put in some new larger pipes, I understand. But just this last week, a week and a half ago, we had heavy rain, and there was pressure, because now we have the little things that twist in to close.
Give a cap
Yeah.
inside your house?
I put one of these gizmos to buy at Home Depot, Home Depot, and I twist it tight, and it has a rubber grommet that grabs the inside
Yeah.
of the drain. And instead of the water geysering up out of the drain, it's coming up through a crack in the concrete. Which goes right, I presume, right above the line that goes out to the street.
Right.
I have a question. When you tighten that, did you continue to use your facilities?
Yeah.
Continue to use our, alright, so, and that's where we need to get better on our end of education. So when you tighten that, and you continue, so that stops the sewage from coming back into your home from our line, but then you can't use your facilities inside your home when you tighten those, the backflow preventer. And that's one of the things that we know people have problems with. We require backflow preventers on any new construction. You replace your sewer lateral, so the point from your house up to our main. But we try to remind people that when you do that, a lot of them now automatically close on their own. When that occurs, you can't use your facilities.
This is just a little thing that goes into the top of the floor drain.
Oh, okay, so you have a cap on it. Okay, so so you should have still been able to use your facility.
Yeah, the facility would work fine, but
How would you not be able to use?
So when those backflow preventers it closes it off. It acts like it seals it off. So water can't come in and it can't go out when you have a backflow preventer and it's closed. And a lot of times depending on where it's at, if it's real close to your house, you can use it. I wouldn't take a shower or wash your clothes, but you can flush your toilet a couple times and you're not gonna have problems. If it's out closer to the street, you have a little bit more room because you have some holding room inside your sewer line. We don't have a location where they're required in our ordinance. Sometimes some people like to put them out closer to the street, so that way they do have a little more holding room. But that's really up to the individuals, and some plumbers, depends on also where they're digging up.
My daughter lives in Louisville, and they had 2 feet of yucky water in their basement in Louisville. They came out and put backflow preventers into another room.
Right.
But I haven't done that yet.
And that's a program, just to be honest, we're looking at a couple different programs, but we need to make sure that they would be worth it, including the town working with homeowners and either covering the entire cost or splitting the cost of putting backflow preventers in. If you have sub pumps, if you have exterior drains and they connect into your sanitary sewer, looking at coming out and running a separate drain out to the yard one way or the other, and disconnecting your sub pump from the sanitary sewer, putting it into the storm sewer, into that new drain, that when they connect to the storm. These are some of the programs we're looking at, but if we go out and do the inspections and say, well, we only got 2% of the homes that have issues with sub pumps, maybe that's not the best use of the funding. Maybe the best use of the funds we have is to put bigger lines in and try to get to a plant. And we don't know what those, and we can start guessing, and what the study is going to tell us, hopefully, is what we really need to put the money after. But that's good to know. Do you call when that happens?
I don't know who we call. We call, for sure, we need some phone calls, then we probably have an
And we probably do, but that's like, again, it may sound ridiculous, but call if it happens at all, we need to know when it happens, when you have us here, when it comes out, because it's better for us to know right away, so we can track it better. And sometimes it may not just be the rain. There may be a clog in the system, and we need to come out and check it. We always tell people, if you're having problems with your sewers, before you call a plumber, call us. Because we'll come out and check the line and make sure our line's clear and it's not us, before you spend the money to have a plumber come out. And a lot of the plumbers around here will sit there and tell you, oh, it's in the town system. They'll leave, they'll charge you the one service fee, they'll leave, we'll come out and say it's not, our line's clean, and then you have to pay another fee to get them to come back out. So we'd rather you call us up front to at least come in and check, and we have someone on call 24/7.
I've gotten fairly well acquainted with the big white truck.
With the big white truck? Okay. So, but that's good to know. We need you guys to call when that's happening.
What was your address again?
221 West Carter Avenue, and my son's house is 333 North Haggard.
You said it happened this past weekend?
Pardon?
You said it happened this past weekend?
It was about a week ago when we had the heavy rains.
Okay.
But the risers, we didn't have risers because we got wiser and put in the little stoppers.
And around here, our lines are pretty deep, so we tend to find a lot of people have floor drains, and floor drains can be an issue. If you don't have sewer service to your basement, if you don't have, I guess a lot of people, their washers and dryers may go up further. If you don't have a bathroom in your basement, or even your washer and dryer, sometimes we recommend a lot of people go ahead and cap off those floor drains. If you're not using that service, it's sometimes better for you to cap it off. But again, we don't want to cause problems with concrete floors.
I know the people at 100 West Carter had a tremendous problem. I went over and helped them clean up their basement a couple times ago. But it's the last time they were out of town, so I don't know what happened. They're my Spanish neighbors, and I translate for them. So I'm happy to go there and translate for them both there.
General has some questions. We can go and look at the maps and you can tell us where you live, what your problems are.
Well, we've never had a problem.
And that's great. We need to.
That's
you
good.
don't
It's
have
good
a problem.
too.
We need to know.
You
We
want
need
to
to
trade
know.
houses?
I mean, the water very back of my yard. Oh yeah, the dog was sleeping in the toilet.
But, and that's good enough. Where do you live, guys?
Marshall.
What's that?
Marshall.
Marshall, so you don't have, well, that's good to know
I
too.
don't like that concrete thing back there because I get mosquitoes in the summer.
Oh, okay, yeah. But yeah, we need to know that if you don't have problems, we can mark those areas off. So alright, so we'll break and we have it. Jeremy, did you lay this out in a certain order?
I don't know if it's a certain order, but if you flipped it, then Greg, you want to flip it.
Yeah.